Here with reaction, White House Senior Policy Advisor Stephen Miller. All right, Miller, what is your reaction to Waters' words?
First of all, it's great to be with you, Jesse, and thank you for your very insightful opening segment. I just want to say to you that the federal civil service has been turned into a sword aimed at the heart of our democracy. What you have is a constitutional crisis created by an unelected fourth branch of government trying to take down a duly elected president in concert with radical Democrats like Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi.
So now that we know that the whistleblower is associated not only with James Clapper, but had worked for Vice President Joe Biden before, according to the Washington Examiner, you're working in the White House right now. I mean, do you have your head on a swivel? Can you trust people? How do you survive in an environment like that?
Well, first of all, let's be very clear. The president is going to win. He is going to defeat not only the radical Democrats, but the unelected permanent bureaucracy that is trying to thwart the will of the American people. At the heart of this issue is a simple question, which is that do we deserve to have a government that is free of corruption and responsive to the voters? And as you laid out, the corruption here is Joe Biden and Hunter Biden fleecing the American people. Well, Joe Biden was vice president. China was ripping off the United States to the tune of trillions of dollars. At the exact same time as that was happening, Hunter Biden was raking in unprecedented amounts of money from the government of China. That is the definition of corruption. And it's the president's job as the head law enforcement officer in this country to ensure that we do not have corruption in this country or corruption in the countries that we're doing business with to the greatest extent possible. And now you have the Democrats attacking this president for his stand against corruption in all of its forms.
So how can then Joe Biden now run for president and say, I'm going to negotiate with the Chinese while my son's already been paid off by the Chinese? Can't people see that? Because Joe's had already such a weak record on China his whole Senate career. And, you know, this summer he said China's not even a competitor. So how can he say that?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Of course, I mean, Joe Biden, of course, is incapable of leading this country for many reasons, but most significantly among them is the fact that, as you've seen, he's financially indebted to China. And that is the fundamental public policy issue that we're facing. That's not a political issue. That is a national security issue. That is a public policy issue about whether or not you have a situation in which leaders in the Obama administration and previous administrations put themselves in a situation in which they were financially indebted to foreign countries. And that's the issue now confronting the American people.
Do you think the aggressive posture that the president is confronting constantly, not only from the left, but from the administrative state, by other people in the government in Washington, D.C., is that hatred towards the president? Is that based on his policy direction? Is that based on his personality? Because I've never seen such disdain and ferocity coming from a president's political opponents as I've seen right now.
It's a very important point. The disdain that's being directed at the president by disgraced members of Congress like Adam Schiff and by members of the deep state, the permanent bureaucracy, is driven by their hatred of the American people and their hatred of our founding values and their hatred of our Constitution. And that's what it comes down to. This president was elected on a pledge to drain the swamp. This is the swamp trying to fight back. That's the center of this whole issue. Do we drain the swamp, or do we end up letting the swamp continue to corrupt and contort our whole political system? They are fighting against the change this president is delivering. The change he's delivering on foreign policy, on domestic policy, on national security policy. That's what this comes down to. Whether we have the real change this president campaigned on, or whether we let radical left-wing Democrats and their collaborators in the bureaucracy keep that change from happening.
And then lastly, real quick, you know, the president was in Minnesota the other day and speaking to a very large crowd. And usually the opposition hides in the shadows, but these people were out on the streets, and you can just see the type of Antifa crowds burning stolen MAGA hats, throwing urine on police officers, cursing out police officers. When you see this, the face of the resistance and its ugliness like that, does that inspire you? Does that terrify you? How does that make you feel?
Well, here in this White House, when we see the face of that lawless, anti-constitutional resistance, we are more determined than ever, and this president is more determined than ever to uphold the rule of law, to win these battles, to achieve these victories, and to defend the Constitution against unrelenting assaults from Democrats in Congress and bureaucrats in the executive branch. That's what this comes down to. And that image, those images you see on this TV, every American should ask themselves, who do you want to govern and run this country? Everyday hardworking citizens or rioters and protesters that are out in the streets? That's the choice, because Democrats have sided with the lawless rioters and protesters, and the American people will side with this president and their Constitution.
All right, Stephen Miller, thank you for joining Water's World.
Thank you. Thank you.